Alright boys, welcome back to another Maybe Lewis MMA UFC video. So today, we're playing Matchmaker again boys. We're doing a fights to make after UFC 325. We had some pretty good winners on this card. I'm not going to talk about all of them. This is mostly like just the main card because prelims really weren't all that. But this is just like the main cards, winners and losers. Well, most of the winners and losers. But yeah, let's get right into it boys. So starting off with the winner of the main event, Alexander Volkanovski. Looked pretty dominant once again versus Diego Lopes, 50-45, 49-46. Showed that he could hang with probably the most dangerous fighter at featherweight. But he's going to have to face pretty good contenders now. I feel like they were cherry picking kind of with this Diego Lopes one. But I think Volkanovski should no doubt fight the winner of Lerone Murphy versus Movsar Evloev. It's just a no-brainer if this fight doesn't happen. After, obviously, Evloev Murphy, I don't know what the UFC is doing. But I feel like that's clear what should happen at featherweight for Volk. But yeah, now going to the loser, Diego Lopes. Man. Went with the same exact game plan versus Volk. Got picked apart again. 50-45, 49-46, like I said. But made no adjustments in his game plan besides standing southpaw. I don't know what he thought that would do. But it was pretty disappointing performance nonetheless from Diego Lopes. So he's going to have to fight back in the rankings now, obviously. I don't think they'll do Lopes Rodriguez. I think a lot of people think that fight might happen, but I personally think they're doing Yair Rodriguez or Gene Silva. So I think Diego Lopes is probably going to get stuck to fight Aljamain Sterling, which I think will be a pretty good matchup for him. Sterling has the grappling, no striking really, but Lopes also has the grappling to match him, but has way better striking and punching power. So I think that's the fight Diego Lopes should get next, Aljamain Sterling, because Sterling hasn't fought since Brian Ortega, and I know he's been waiting to fight, has been calling people out, and no one's fighting him. But I think Diego Lopes will take that fight. I feel like it's probably pretty easy for Lopes too. I think he finishes Sterling, but yeah, I think that's the fight they should make for Diego Lopes next. Lopes versus Aljamain Sterling. Now to the co-main event, boys. BSD looked really dominant versus Dan Hooker. Obviously, Hooker had some success on the feet in the first round, just a little bit with some teep kicks, but BSD was in there all the way. He had that pressure against Hooker against the cage, was punching him and then taking him down. He almost had that submission, but Dan Hooker escaped it, obviously. So BSD just destroyed him with the ground elbows. BSD looked really dominant in this one. That I know in my last video I said the winner. I said that Paddy Pimblett should fight the winner of BSD versus Dan Hooker. I'm switching that up now, boys, with just how dominant BSD looked in that fight versus Dan Hooker. I think that they should do BSD versus Arman Tsarukyan. I know a lot of people will call me crazy. I think BSD's 4-fight win streak deserves that number one contender fight. You got Holloway Oliveira fighting for the BMF belt soon, like next month. Then Gaethje's obviously going to fight Topuria. Throw BSD and Arman in there for that number one contender spot. I know they don't want to give Arman any title shot. They say he has a fight for, so just do BSD versus Arman for the number one title contender fight. I mean, makes the most sense to me. Now for Dan Hooker, looked pretty bad versus BSD. Got destroyed. I just think they should do that grudge match. They've been chit-chattering online, talking crazy about each other. So let's run Dan Hooker versus Paddy Pimblett. I think that would be a good fight. They have that beef. Paddy obviously just came off that loss versus Justin Gaethje. Hooker just lost to BSD. So it'll be a good bounce-back fight for both of them. And that'll just be a pretty good press conference lead up to the fight. I think it could be like a fight night, maybe main event. Or like just a fight on the main card. But it'd be pretty good. I know Dan Hooker called out Michael Chandler to fight at the White House, but nah, bud, you're getting Paddy. Now next up, Mauricio Ruffy looked really good versus Rafael Fiziev. Was against the fence most of the fight, but was still landing on Fiziev with his jab and his kicks and everything. I think that they're going to try to push Ruffy just like they did Prates. Obviously, Prates knocked out Neal, and then they gave him Edwards. So I think that they're going to try to go the same route with Ruffy here. I think that Mauricio Ruffy should fight the loser of Charles Oliveira versus Max Holloway. Either opponent would be good for Ruffy. A vet, obviously a good test. You know, if say Oliveira loses, you could do that fight in Brazil. 2 Brazilians, like a passing of the guard type of thing. Or Ruffy versus Holloway. If Holloway loses, that would be a banger. Even just 2 great strikers. I think Ruffy could give both of them a good fight, honestly. His striking is really good. But Mauricio Ruffy versus the loser of Oliveira versus Holloway. Sounds like a banger, boys. You could throw that on the co-main or the main card or the main event of any single card, and that would be a banger. Now, Rafael Fiziev got knocked out, obviously. But he looked good with his kicks, but wasn't letting his hands go. So I think he's gonna have to fight back in the rankings once again versus more prospects. He's gonna keep getting fed prospects because he just lost to Ruffy, so he's not gonna fight up. But I think Rafael Fiziev should fight Manuel Torres next, another heavy hitter. You know, that Mexican strength. Manuel Torres just knocked out Grant Dawson in round 1. Looked really good in that fight. But yeah, Rafael Fiziev versus Manuel Torres, that would be a really good fight. You know, give Manuel Torres that ranked opponent with that experience. You could throw this on Noche UFC later this year, but be a pretty good fight. Rafael Fiziev versus Manuel Torres. Now next up, Tallison Teixeira. Wasn't that impressive, to be honest. Would have been more impressive if he went out there and finished Tai Tuivasa with how Tai Tuivasa has looked in his past few fights, but they both were just pretty gassed, and Teixeira was lost round 3 because he was just so gassed that Tai just had him against the fence and Teixeira could barely stand up. But I think they should just do Tallison Teixeira versus Shamil Gaziev next. Gaziev just got knocked out by Waldo, obviously, on like a few days' notice. It was pretty bad, but yeah, Teixeira versus Gaziev. Just try to get Teixeira up the rankings more. But didn't look that good versus Tuivasa. Now, Tai Tuivasa on like a 6-fight losing streak now after that. Didn't look good. He gassed in that fight. I feel like he could have finished Teixeira if he really tried, but he couldn't because he was so gassed. But he's still in the top 15 after this last Monday with the rankings update. So he's number 15 to be exact. So I think that Tai Tuivasa should fight the winner of Vitor Petrino versus Asplund. I think it's Steven Asplund. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but Asplund, obviously, he just won his debut. I forget against who, but he's stepping in on short notice versus a very high-level opponent in Vitor Petrino. So it's going to be interesting to see what he could do against someone with that much experience. But Tuivasa versus the winner of Petrino Asplund would be pretty good, you know. I think either of them probably finishes Tai with how he's looking. 7-fight. It'll be a 7-fight losing streak, but I feel like if Tai loses that, he'll just get released. But yeah. And now the last winner I'm going to talk about of the evening is Quillan Salkilld. Looked really dominant versus Jamie Malarkey. Just took him down and submitted him. Was even controlling the striking as well. But it's time for Quillan Salkilld to get his shot in the rankings. And who other than this guy who's been fighting a lot of prospects. Just got knocked out by BSD in 10 seconds. Quillan Salkilld versus Beneil Dariush. I really think that Salkilld could probably knock Dariush out in round 1. I know it's crazy to say, but BSD did it, and I think Quillan Salkilld is a way better striker and has more power than BSD, but that would get him in the rankings. I think, let me just look it real quick to see where Dariush is ranked, to see how far up that would put Quillan Salkilld if he beats him. Dariush is ranked number 12, so you through that fight, Salkilld Dariush, yeah, Salkilld gets to the top 15, number 12, and then we have pretty good prospects at a lightweight. You know, we got Fares Ziam, Manuel Torres, Mauricio Ruffy, who just won this weekend. BSD, I'll still call him a prospect. Paddy Pimblett, I don't know, people call him a prospect, but yeah, lightweight is heating up, boys. It's looking like welterweight right now with all these up-and-coming contenders who could potentially be fighting for the belt in the next few years. But yeah, That's the fights I think they should make after UFC 325, boys. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. Let me know what fights you think they should make. And yeah, hope you boys enjoyed this card. Look out for my predictions video versus Oliveira Batista for this weekend. And yeah, so I'm going to let you boys know. This Saturday's BKFC in Philly. I'm going to be attending. I'm going to drop some shorts on that, of the fights that happen there. Just keep a lookout for those, It's just like a little fun thing I'm going to post. I won't do a video of predictions or anything, obviously, but I'm going to just drop some videos, like some shorts of some fights, because I'm going to record some of them. So we're going to see Conor McGregor, boys. I'll probably post that too, but yeah, have a good one, boys, and hope y'all enjoyed the video. Peace.